Welcome to Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music with your host, multi-award-winning music producer, Eddie Kilroy. And now, here's your host, Eddie Kilroy.
Hey, how in the world are you doing? I'm Eddie Kilroy, and welcome to Kilroy's Outlaws, Legends, and Behind the Music, okay? Today I'm excited. I'm really excited. I say excited, but today I'm going to be visiting with a wonderful, long-time, almost lifelong friend and one of the most famous and successful record producers of Nashville, Tennessee. His name's Harold Shedd. Harold, how are you doing?
Yeah. How are you, Eddie?
I'm doing good, man. And better since I speak with you. Every time I speak with you, it brings back so many memories. And one thing I wanted to mention, when we were in radio engineering college, did we ever think that maybe we might be talking decades later on a podcast? Who ever heard of a podcast?
I know. Yeah.
But, you know, you've done...
Well, I really never thought I'd be on the radio.
I know.
But we did.
We did.
And we were there for a while.
You know, we'll get into what you've done in just a minute, but I was going to preface it by saying that you and I were speaking not too long ago about our background in radio was such a good tool to fold into music and what people wanted to hear.
It was. In fact, I have to tell you, my career as such, radio and the experiences that I had in radio helped me a lot in the record business, and not just song wise, but artist wise.
Sure.
And what people like and what they don't like. A lot of that was enhanced by the fact that I had 14 years experience in a radio business.
Yeah, and then you also had a band.
Yes.
Yeah. I've known you a while. Hey, I want to talk about some of those incredible achievements that you reached in the plateau in Nashville. I mean, Harold, you left your imprint there that will never go away. One thing I wanted to ask you, because I don't think after all these years of friendship that I ever asked you, how did you find that little band called Alabama?
Alabama. Well, after radio school, I went to Key West, Florida, and worked for about 4 years. And then I came back. The radio station here in Bremen went on the market around 1962. So I moved from Key West back to Bremen. I'm from here and grew up on a farm here. And I bought the radio station here, and that was quite an experience.
Of course.
I had been a disc jockey and marketing and sales, but never in ownership. So I came back here and did that for a while. But you never lose that urge, Eddie, to go to Nashville.
No, we had to go.
Especially if you're in country music.
Okay, what happened with Alabama when you first time you heard?
So I moved to Nashville in the early '70s, and I was working in jingles, doing radio jingles and commercials, yes. But always looking for something special. And at that time, there was a company, I'm sure you know about it, in Nashville called Nationwide Sound.
Sure. I remember.
Joe and Betty Gibson.
Yes, Joe and Betty.
Company.
Yep.
And I became friends with them over the years, and they knew what I was trying to achieve. And luckily, Alabama had recorded a record on an independent label, and Joe and Betty were distributing this record to radio and to the marketplace. And Betty Gibson called me one day and says, "Hey, you need to come and hear this band. And we've got a record, and it's going up the charts. And this might be something that you're interested in." So lo and behold, when I went to see Joe and Betty, I heard Alabama for the first time. They had a song out at that time called "I Want to Come Over," and I thought, boy, what a band!
Yeah.
You know, this could really be something. So they were at the time while touring. They had a regular gig in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, at a club called the Bowery.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, I'm going to go see this band live," and I did. I drove to Myrtle Beach and went to the Bowery on this night and listened to the band, and it was really interesting, Eddie, and the most interesting part of that was that they were performing their own music, not the hits, from radio.
Yeah, they were not a cover band.
Things they had written and no one had ever heard, but the people were reacting, like these were big hits, and later they turned out to be, but it was just an amazing thing. So I became interested to the point that I stayed overnight and met the band and spent some time with them. So that's really how I got to know Alabama in the beginning.
Well, the rest is history. Yeah. Good grief! How many?
Yeah.
How many records?
Yes.
How many records did they sell? Give me a ballpark figure. Was it 20 million?
To this point, they are approaching 100 million.
It's a lot of records.
Yeah,
a lot of
records. That's a lot of records. Especially, we started in 1979 working on the first project, but it came out I believe in 80. But at that time, in country music especially, 200,000 albums was considered a big success.
Oh, absolutely.
So, in 5 months after the first release, we had a gold album. We had 500,000 records sold,
I know.
And it kept going from there. And I spent a decade with them. And during that time, I think we recorded maybe 13 albums, I believe.
Wow. That was just a big run of success. Everybody knows how huge Alabama was and your participation in their career. But you worked with so many other artists that were also great on their own level, like your signings. When you went over to Mercury, you made some incredible signings. Oh, I got to interject this right. I'm going to jog your memory. When you were at Mercury, I came in to you with a song that Danny Stegall had written called Moscow Honky Tonk. And you liked it, and you said, "Why don't you go over to the Mill," which was a wonderful studio that you had in Nashville. A lot of people don't know what a great studio you had. They thought of you as a record producer on the outside. But you said, "Go over there and cut a demo. I've got room for an act, and I'm going to sign one of two. So do a demo." And I did, and brought it back to your office, and you said, "That's pretty cool, but I'm looking at this other act. It's going to be this Danny Stegall. It's going to be this other act." I said, "Oh, well, just whatever. That's how it goes." And that other act was Billy Ray Cyrus. And Achy Breaky Heart. I said, "Well, it's not so bad to lose to a record like that."
No, it's not. Oh, yeah, that was a big record. It was a good signing. Billy Ray was.
For sure.
Yeah.
How about that little gal? Oh, what's her name? I'm kidding now. You can't forget. Shania Twain. You signed her.
signed Shania Twain and Billy Ray and Toby Keith, all about 90 or 91.
Right.
Yeah.
The Toby Keith story is really great because Toby had been trying to get a start in Nashville for a while before he met up with you. Am I correct?
Yeah, he had been there and made the rounds to all the major labels, and to no avail. You know.
Sure.
They had told him they didn't like his songs and not crazy about his singing and all the things that, you know, you get sometimes at a label when they don't really want anybody.
Exactly.
You know, not just Toby, but they probably at that time were not signing any acts.
Sure.
But long story short, you know, I was on a flight from L.A. to Nashville, and a flight attendant approached me and introduced herself and said, "I know you're in the business, and I have this friend that sings." And I says, "Well, you know, have him send me a tape." So she says, "Well, I happen to have one with me. I'm a big fan."
Wow.
And he played where I went to college, and he gave me tapes of his songs as he would write and make the demo tapes. So she gave me the tape, and it was one that he had shopped around Nashville to all the labels. And Eddie, you'll love this. Long story short, it was 5 songs, and 3 of them were number ones, and the other 2 were top 5.
Oh my God!
And he had been told he couldn't write or sing. So
That is so typical story.
It was a great experience and a great trip, and he had such a great career.
Boy,
he was an exceptional talent. Yeah.
Yeah. You also said he was a really good guy.
A great guy.
Yeah.
Toby was a really, really great American and a really patriotic guy.
Harold Shedd, legendary record producer, more than that personally to me, one of my dearest friends of all my life. Harold, we could talk for 3 days about what you've done in Nashville and never run out of stories. But we were speaking one time about the vibe and the magic and the atmosphere of Nashville when you and I were there when it was at its peak. What did you feel? What did you feel about Nashville then?
Well, Nashville was you know, at that time, Music Row was 16th Avenue with a lot of old dwellings and homes that had been converted into studios and publishing company and booking agencies, management companies. It was all music, and at that time you could go down 16th Avenue and you could literally go from house to house and hear something different, you know,
every day.
And every day you could do it every day, and that's why so many people came there. But Music Row was a magical place. Unfortunately, from a music standpoint and from the things that you and I did in the music business, it's not the same now.
It isn't.
Different.
You know, I was thinking about that, Harold. See if I'm tracking right, okay? Because we were both there. We were rocking along. We were making a little money, and we were happy. And through your signing of Shania and Toby and what have you, instead of the 200,000 sales, 250,000 sales, which if I sold 350,000 albums on a number one Gilly record, I was tickled to death, you know. And then when he got into platinum and the people from L.A., nothing bad about them, they just didn't understand our vibe. They were saying, you know, now they're selling like platinum in Nashville, and I can move there and not live in L.A. And it seemed like we had a lot of people come in that did not have that same warmth and feeling that we were raised with.
Yeah, well, it was a totally different vibe after the 90s. It really changed in the early to mid 90s and on into even 2005 and 10. But going back, we met in, I believe, I want to say 1959,
You're
maybe.
Right, 59. 1959. Good grief, where'd the years go, Harold? 1959.
We were in the engineering school, and you were the first cowboy I had ever met. And I remember you were rodeoing.
Yeah, I was.
And going to school and doing all that stuff. And so I was a big Eddie fan before you ever really started into your radio. I mean, your record career. And I remember then moving to Nashville in the early 70s and continuing on with the music part of it. But you also were doing some things during that. You started Playboy Records in Nashville and had a lot of big hits.
Yeah, we were lucky.
And started the careers of incredidly talented people. One of them being Mickey Gilley.
Yeah, Mickey Boy.
And I know I pick up an album every now and then because I collect old records, and I see Eddie Kilroy. You had Bobby Borchers.
Yeah,
I
Borchers.
Think.
We had a good run.
You sure did. And boy, I should be interviewing you.
No,
really,
no, Harold, you far surpassed whatever I did because you handled yourself.
It was just such a great time.
It was.
I get to talking about it and thinking about it, and I remember the times we spent together, and both. Another thing, and people don't really believe this, but I never knew you could make money in the music business. I did it for a different reason. I know. Did it because I love music so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But it all goes together, and it comes together.
I couldn't wait till the next day. Okay, we're going to do this again tomorrow. Great, fantastic. Session starts at 10. I'll be there at 9.
That's funny you said that because, Eddie, I could not wait to get to work the next morning. I loved it that much. Yeah.
I was doing Gilley one time, and in the early part of his career, this goes back, let's see, 74, 75, and I thought to myself, they're actually paying me to do this. Are they crazy? Of course, I never told them that, but it was fun. And our players became family. Session players.
It made things better, didn't it?
Oh, sure. When when the player out there that you've worked with a lot already kind of knows what kind of record you want, it kind of makes a difference, And there's such a pool of talent there to pull from as far as players went.
Yeah. What a lot of talented people, And the thing that happened. One thing made something else happen.
True.
And that, if it was successful, something else happened. So that Alabama was such a great thing for me.
Good grief,
and
yes.
it enabled me to do things I never would have been able to do anywhere in my life. So as a result of that, I got to work with Mel Tillis.
Oh yeah, Tillis.
Glenn Campbell.
Yeah.
And Roger Miller.
I remember that.
And then I got to meet K.T. Oslin, and we had.
Now K.T. was a grand lady.
Multi-platinum records and Grammys, and as a result of that, I got to do all of these things, and finally. Mercury Records, I was approached by one of their representatives, and that enabled me then to do Billy Ray Syrus,
right,
Sammy Kershaw, Toby Keith, Shania Twain, Kathy Mattea, And at that time,
Tell me about KT Oslin, because she always appeared to be a grand lady, as well as very talented.
KT, her music was just really great. I thought, she was, first of all, when I signed her to Mercury, she was 48 years old.
I know. Hold on just a moment. One more time. No, you're fine. I just didn't hear. 48, okay.
48 years old, yeah. And so, well, I was, ridiculed a little for that because, but, everyone that loves country music, they're not just young people, old people.
Absolutely, you're true.
I'd love to hear some great new country music now.
Me too.
And I'm 92 now, but I would still love to hear something I've never heard before. And
all right, it's in the mail.
That's the way you.
It's in the mail. Jason said it's in the mail.
Yeah,
to
I'll
you.
send you some CDs.
Jason, while we have, I don't care if I'll be honest with our viewers out there. I don't care if this lasts 3 hours. Okay. I've got a guy here that is a treasure. His friendship's a treasure to me, and his stories and our relationship that go back years and years and years. You got a question for Harold and Jason?
Yeah, actually, this is for me. That saying, if I could be a fly on the wall.
Yeah.
For me, I'm sitting here right now listening to you talk, and I have not said a word because I'm just like absorbing everything. This is the coolest thing for me. So you've done so much in your career, Harold. Is there one memory looking back on your life that in music that you just cherish? Could you share that with us?
Well, the most rewarding of everything I did was with the group Alabama. We did so many things and had so many successes that I cherish their friendship. There's two of the original bands still around, but that was the most rewarding thing was going into an auditorium and there's 70 to 100,000 people there, and they all have a cigarette lighter, and Alabama starts singing a song like "Old Flame" or "Lady Down on Love" or one of their big hits, and all of these lights are on, and it's all cigarette lighters, and I just never seen anything like that. And it just, it gives you chills a little bit thinking about it. But yeah, that was really something. But to get back to the KT Oslin thing, I was looking for some music for an artist that CBS had talked to me about and was looking for a direction. So, and KT, I didn't know that you were not supposed to sign old people. I thought, hell, this is great music. You can't throw this away.
That made me laugh.
So, yeah, we had a plan for that, but it turned out. When I finished the demo tape one night, and had some really great musicians in the studio, and the late Larry London.
Oh yeah, the big slammer, the greatest
drummer that ever came through Nashville.
I know for a fact.
Yeah, you know him, and
sure.
And we're doing this demo tape, and he came into me in the control room. We would take a little break, and he walked up and he says, "Harold, we're not really doing demos, don't you?" And I said, well, maybe we're not, Larry. He said, well, we're making records right now, I'll tell you that. And we did. So the next day, I carried the tape over to Joe Galante at RCA Records, and Joe says, how old is this lady? And asking me all of these questions about her. And I think he probably knew before he asked me. But I said, Joe, he's pushing 40, and I won't tell you from which side, like that. And he said, well, don't play it for anyone till tomorrow, and I'll call you. Well, guess what? This is about 11 o'clock in the morning, and at 2 o'clock that afternoon, he called me and says, I want to sign the girl.
That's good.
I said, she's not a girl, she's a lady now. And we had a laugh about that, but it just turned out to be a great signing. And the music, KT wrote 80s Ladies.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you.
Yeah, it was Song of the Year, Album of the Year. She was Female Vocalist of the Year.
Yep.
And it was Single Record of the Year and won a Grammy. So this is a 48-year-old woman that everybody was shunning, in a sense, because of her age. But man, what a writer, and all the stuff we did.
One of my favorite records you did with her.
The big records she wrote.
So she wrote "Do You"?
She wrote "Do You."
Wow, I love that song.
She wrote "I'll Always Come Back."
Yeah. I remember
Hey,
that.
Bobby,
Very talented lady. She could have been 100 and still had hits. Harold Shedd, you were a great innovator. You left a large footprint in Nashville. You did so many things, and I respect and appreciate everything you did, and I know the people in Nashville know what you contributed. But most of all, I got to tell you the truth. Out of everything you did, out of all the accomplishments that you made in your life, in your career, the most important thing to me is the friendship that developed in 1959.
Well, I appreciate that so much, Eddie, and what a special treat it is to get to be with you on a program like this and talk to you about something that we both love.
Absolutely, and pal, I want you to take good care of yourself, and the people that are going to see this are going to love hearing your stories because they're unparalleled.
Well, I appreciate that so much.
We talked about the artist having the magic and everything, but producers have to have an input into that to draw that magic out. And you were always so good at doing that, getting into the depths of one of your artist's souls and what they want to capture, and you being a participant to help them put that in a bucket where they'd be happy when you send them home. That's a great deal.
Yeah.
Well, you did great, and I love you, my brother, and look forward to hugging your neck, and who knows, I may talk you into having half a beer with me.
Yeah, I want you to know I'm coming to see you in early May.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll look you up.
Thanks so much, Eddie. Thanks so much for your time today, Harold. Look forward to hugging your neck.
Thank you, buddy. I love you, and a great hello to your audience.
Okay, thanks, Harold Shedd, Bremen, Georgia. Anyway, thanks for spending all this time with us on the Kilroy Outlaws, Legends, Behind the Music podcast, and a lot of people are going to really, really love hearing your stories, and they'll be forthcoming. In the meantime, this is Kilroy saying God bless you. Thanks for being with us for Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends and Behind the Music.
Okay, buddy.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music. If you have any thoughts or questions about the content, email them, Kilroy Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. That's Kilroy, no S, Outlaws and Legends, all one word, at yahoo.com. And don't forget to subscribe. Third-party use of any part of this podcast without the expressed consent of Eddie Kilroy is prohibited. The Kilroy's Outlaws and Legends Behind the Music podcast is a production of Eddie Kilroy.